Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about teenage girls, why everyone loves to hate teenage girls. And this video is actually inspired by my Facebook anniversary of memory thing that came up this morning, of the fact that 8 years ago today I went to my first concert, One Direction concert. So I thought I was once a teenage girl, shock, but I thought it would be a good time to go in and talk about this because it is something that I've been thinking about. So I basically just want to unpack this phenomenon, talk about who hates teenage girls, why they hate teenage girls, how this hatred of teenage girls leads to internalized misogyny, and also has other effects such as, or has like an effect on other effects such as body dysmorphia and eating disorders and insecurity within teenage girls. So yeah, let's just get right into it. It's pretty much like no secret at all that anything ever liked by teenage girls has been subsequently hated by literally everyone else in society. Twilight, any young adult fiction, Justin Bieber, any band ever, literally One Direction, VSCO filters, Tumblr, all of these things have been primarily liked by teenage girls, and therefore everyone else has hated them or thought they were bad. I'm gonna argue here that these things aren't necessarily objectively bad in themselves or any worse than anything else. They have just been devalued because teenage girls like them primarily, and we do not take the opinions of teenage girls seriously because we do not like teenage girls. So the first thing I actually want to talk about is the group that primarily seems to really hate teenage girls, and that seems to be sort of older men. Not older in the sense like really old, but just older than teenage men. And the reason I've come to this conclusion is because, like, literally if you look up why I hate teenage girls on YouTube, you'll see a bunch of videos filmed by mostly men in their like 20s, 30s and 40s. And I kind of want to unpack why this might be. This is genuinely just my take. I've just been thinking about it today. But I feel like because teenage girls represent this sort of weird middle bit between like childhood and adulthood, their bodies are like biologically very close to the peak, right? Or like their prime. If we think of things like the Lolita effect, a lot of older men might find them like appealing. Vast majority of them don't act on it, right? Because it's gross and like sort of pedophilia. I feel like maybe because the desire is there somewhere, it manifests in this incessant sort of hatred. Also because like teenage girls just represent, I guess, femaleness at its most naive, if that makes sense. And men hate women. It's proven. So they just, I don't know, just want to attack this sort of naivety. This takes the form of the incessant shaming of teenage girls and the incessant shaming of the things that teenage girls do like. How I see it, it seems more of a projection of these men's feelings about themselves and how they're feeling towards teenage girls, as opposed to what the teenage girls are actually doing. And the problem with like these kinds of men really hating teenage girls is that they push this narrative beyond their own spheres, so it becomes like a societal thing. Like it's everywhere. Like it's not just like middle-aged men who hate teenage girls, but it seems like every group in society, including teenage girls, seems to hate teenage girls. And it really just shows the extent to which it's like a narrative that's just been picked up by everyone else in the world who has decided that on the whole all teenage girls ever are annoying. And like the effect of the hatred of teenage girls, which is spearheaded by men mostly, on teenage girls is really, really awful. Whilst being defined as something that everyone loves to hate, teenage girls are also the group which suffers the most in terms of body dysmorphia and eating disorders and things like that. And I'm gonna make this a statement and say that there is a correlation between society's hatred of teenage girls and teenage girls' hatred of themselves. And there's all of this pressure because of like social media to look a certain way. Yeah, when teenage girls do look this way, they're shamed. But also when they don't look this way, they're shamed. There is absolutely no way of winning here. Teenage girls are shamed when they look their age, when they look like teenagers, and they're shamed when they don't look like teenagers. And this is what I'm trying to say. The whole thing is completely irrational. And like I was saying, teenage girls develop eating disorders at a higher rate than literally any other group. and have some of the highest rates again of body dysmorphia. We call teenage girls vein, not necessarily for having these things, but like maybe that these things are a result of that. But we fail to realize that maybe the reason they're so concerned with how they look and how they are is because of us and how we judge them inevitably, regardless of what they do. All of this negative energy is absorbed by teenage girls who literally are just trying to do something to fit in and be accepted and not be criticized by everyone, which it's just an impossible task. Another negative consequence that this hatred of teenage girls has on teenage girls, and they're like the interest that they have, is the fact that a lot of teenage girls develop the whole "I'm not like other girls" complex, which also shockingly we make fun of them for too. But anyway, this whole not like other girls complex, it comes from the idea that teenage girls are seen as, or things that teenage girls like are seen by society as being negative, and teenage girls internalize this and therefore choose to separate themselves from it, to have interests other than the typical teenage girly interests, just in a bid to be more accepted by everyone. And all of this is due to internalized misogyny, because like I've said, the majority of people peddling this teenage girls suck narrative are men. So teenage girls feel like they need to remove themselves from this in order to be liked, not even necessarily just by men, but just by society. This is really, really harmful, because it has the effect of like perpetuating this narrative that teenage girls suck and everything that they like sucks, whilst also pitting teenage girls against each other, because we have two groups. We have the teenage girls who behave like teenage girls and the teenage girls who make fun of other teenage girls for behaving like teenager girls and separate themselves from these girls. This kind of internal conflict, I feel like, reinforces the whole narrative that teenage girls are childish and blah 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 blah. It gives everyone else more of a reason to not like them, and it also again reinforces this culture of shame around teenage girlhood. Again, even the girls who claim not to be like teenage girls, they're still teenage girls, therefore by merit of that they will still be shamed. These kinds of girls are called pick-me's, or they're told that they're trying too hard, etc. Like, there is absolutely no way of winning. Even if a teenage girl separates herself from teenage girlhood by virtue of her teenage girliness, she will just be hated automatically. And I think this really just shows that none of it is very rational. None of it makes much sense. It's hating for the sake of hating. And it's really dangerous and cyclical, because being a teenage girl is really one of the most like confusing and vulnerable times of a woman's life, but then adding the hatred of yourself and people like you by the majority of society just exacerbates a lot of the vulnerabilities already present throughout adolescence. In summary, there is absolutely no rationality guiding this systematic hatred of teenage girls, and people really genuinely just do it for the sake of doing it. There needs to be a group that's hated by everyone, and it just happens to be teenage girls. As I've like shown in this video, society's unfounded hatred of teenage girls may actually play a pretty big part in a lot of the problems that they face as teenage girls, a lot of the insecurities that they have. I think we just really need to stop shaming anything and everything that teenage girls do and are for once, and just let them live. Teenage girls taking selfies or like liking Taylor Swift literally impacts the rest of us in no way whatsoever. But us hating teenage girls for doing these things and for just being teenage girls has such a huge impact on them. So let's just stop. Like, let's just quit it. There's no point. Who is it benefiting? It's hurting teenage girls, and we get like, I don't find it funny personally. I don't think there should be any laughs from it. We just need to stop. And that's all I have to say today. Thank you for watching. It's a very quick video, but I just had some thoughts. Thought I'd share them. Like, comment, subscribe, etc. I'll see you soon for another video when I'm interested in talking about something else that's irritated me / fascinated me, because that's what we're here for. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.